Alrighty, traders, welcome. I just had to go ahead and fix my mic quickly, but welcome to the show today. Hopefully everyone is doing well. First, before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, smash the like button so we can get this video out to as many people as possible.
When it comes to currency pairs, Gary, holy shnikes, do we have some great setups, man. I mean, I want to talk first about the Eurocad because it's been a long time since I have seen 15 out of 16 candles in a row be bearish. And I'm talking daily candles, dude. This is crazy. We also have 3 weekly pivots in a row and a monthly pivot all clustered together. And again, like I know that a lot of this has to do with oil. I know that the CAD has been resilient and stronger and staying that way because of oil. I know that, overall it's like the Eurozone is still pretty neutral to dovish, and I know the Euro's not getting a lot of love, but Gary, I can't help but look at the higher time frames in this one and just think like, okay, so we've got some decent support around 4,300, 4,275. I just keep looking left at all these major lows. We got a low in February 2020. We got a major low, a round number at 4,000, lows in 2017. As we've had like so many extended moves to the downside and just a crazy amount of pivots and divergence now that I'm seeing it, I mean, I'm starting to look to buy the Eurocad. And I know that I'm probably early. I know that I'm probably getting in too early, and I don't want to get in too big, but I like buying the Eurocad, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So
I agree completely with you, dude. The Eurocad right now is in absolute great position to start looking to buy it. And you're right. It's been a downside move on this thing for a while. We broke out of that big wedge. You can see right here we have this big wedge. We broke out to the downside. This is not the only currency pair that is looking like this, because all the euro crosses, we spoke about that last week, all the euro crosses have actually either taken out support or broken some trends, but they're all in a place where they're now looking for a bullish correction. Mm-hmm. And we're going to say bullish correction because, Chris, I don't believe that this is going to be a long-term rally. I think we're going to see a short to mid-term rally, and then we're going to see some further downside move. Now, on the currency pair that you're talking about, the Eurocad, we've broken through this channel. We do have a 127 right here that we're anticipating that to be the fifth wave. We are a little bit shy of that. Now, this is good to be a little bit shy of hitting that target. And the reason why is because we're going to expect a pullback. And the reason why I'm expecting a pullback is just because you just said it. It's been so bearish right now. We're now seeing look, we're going to go to the 4 hour. We've seen some great divergence here on the 4 hour. Look how the oscillator is moving up, price is moving down.
Yep. Perfect
place for you to go ahead and get in. I think you got it spot on there. And so if we're going to be buying long, where can price go to? Well, you take a look at the 1.618 of the previous swing. It's right there at 145.80. So 145.80 is going to be a retest of that. Plus we've got these lows right here. There's a good spot right here for the bulls to go ahead and score some bonuses here, right there. That's where we're going to go ahead and see price moving back up to before it goes ahead and sells off again. So if you're going to be going long on that, Chris, I would say watch out for this level right here, about 45.80.
Okay.
As price comes up to that, because we're going to find resistance there, and that's going to be possibly a good sell zone right here. So if this is a sell zone, then you know that the buyers are in the market looking to get to that level. So I think you spot on that. And this is not the only one. If you look at, and you're right, U.S. oil is certainly pushing price in a direction, right? And so as we start looking for U.S. oil sell-off, think about it this way, Chris. U.S. oil, we're expecting a correction move in U.S. oil. But it's not going to be, we're still going to see U.S. oil go further up, much higher, right? We're expecting to go much higher. So which means that Eurocad could also be just a correction move, and then a further downside move in Eurocad as the oil price gets stronger, and CAD gets stronger as well. So if we look over here on, let's say, the New Zealand Cad, same scenario here. I mean, let's go to the chart right here. Same scenario. We've broken through structure, broken through. Look at this downside action here. We're at a support level. We're actually at the 127. We're looking for Eurocad also to go bullish. Look at the big bullish divergence we've had here. So we're looking for price to go back up to the backside of this trend line, even possibly up here towards these highs. So New Zealand Cad's also telling us rally. And listen, you can go to every chart that's traded against the Canadian dollar, and you look at Aussie Cad, New Zealand Cad, Eurocad, Pound Cad. All of them are saying that we're oversold and we're looking for a rally in the market. And so that's why I'm so excited. I'm excited about the position that we're in now, that we have an opportunity to be able to trade this correction. Now, some of you might be saying, and Chris, you might be saying it too, like, hey, what is your options about buying against the trend? I know you and I have got no problem doing that with a cost averaging strategy and a well thought out plan. Right. But the thing here is buying against the trend is not a bad thing, provided that you're not married to that trade and that you have levels that you know where the market could go to or turn at. Right. But you have these potential tops or these targets that you're looking at on the upside, and you're getting out of those targets and you're not holding on for more than just what the markets can offer you. Agreed. And so it's important, I think, that they look at these technicals, right? I mean, it's important that they look at the technicals and make sure they get out and take profit. Profit taking is important, right, Chris?
It's super important. And, you know, what I might end up doing, Gary, is personally for me, like Eurocad, New Zealand Cad, I'm in each of those trades. I'm already in 4 entries, 4 small entries, but I spaced them out with Perfect Storm Pro and Eurocad. I actually just had a fill today. My bottom entry is 43.53. So that's just off of today's lows. And again, I'm not saying that's the low, but what I might end up doing, Gary, is I might take that 43.53, take profit around that 45.50 to 45.80 level. And if it continues to the upside, I'll manage the other positions. If it comes back to the downside, I might have to reassess. But you know, this is the beautiful thing about, you know, having a robot help me out and get some entries. Also, the beautiful thing about managing some trades individually instead of having them all be lumped together. I've got to close out, you know, a losing trade first. I can manage them non-FIFO, which is fine. New Zealand Cad, same thing. I'm in 3 trades, actually 4 trades in that one, and same thing. I'll just probably manage partial profits, let it run, and just know most important thing is for profit, for break even, know where those levels are at. And just make sure that if you're planning on holding, that you think it's realistic with multiple reasons to hang on to it. You know, for me to hang on to like Eurocad, it's oversold. We have divergence. We have a crazy bar count. We've got pivots galore. We got pockets galore. Those levels tend to get hit. So it's not just like, oh, Chris just doesn't want to close out of a losing position. I mean, if I looked at it right now objectively, I would be interested in buying Eurocad. The reality is I'm in a little bit early, but I'm still looking at the same thing. Like, I would be interested in buying it. I would say I just wait for a trend line break. I look for more confirmation. I look for bullish price action, and I would still get in. So it's just, you know, what we tend to do sometimes is we trade small, we get in early, and then we build these little positions. And I've done that for years, and it's you know, played out very well. So
yeah,
not going to change.
But like
plan.
you said, you know, you're jumping in with something right now that you're seeing that there's definitely support there that you can buy off. But then when you get the additional confirmation, like the trend line break and all the other good stuff that adds to that confirmation that you need, that's when you start loading the bus and start adding to that position, right? Yep. And I don't know if you looked at the CAD Swiss franc. I know we're jumping around between different CAD crosses right here, but CAD Swiss franc, look at this baby right here. Hitting tops on the top right here. We had long-term resistance here, hitting over here at about 74.78. A lot of resistance here. And the markets have hit it. Now, you might say, and many others might say, well, it could blow through that level and we could continue to move north. Yeah, that's true. But the great thing about the markets is they do move in waves. And so we can see, if you take this down to a lower time frame, and I'm going to go to the 4 hour, maybe I can see it on the 4 hour. Yeah, I can. All right, so if you take it down to the lower time frame right here, you can see that we had a wave from the bottom right here all the way up here to the top. Oops. I actually need to get this mouse fixed up. There it is. Okay, so it goes all the way up here to the top. And from this level, we've gone ahead and looking for the 1.6. I don't think we hit it here. No, we did not. Okay, so we didn't hit the 1.6 right there. And so as we go ahead and look at the structure, and this is important right here, look at the structure. So as we go ahead and create this wave, market comes down. Then it goes up to a higher 127 right here. Then it drops back below here, and I like this. This is what I like to call the irregular flat pattern. So it comes back down, takes out the low. This is a great buying position right here. Market rallies up. Now it goes way past the 1.618. So which means that we're due for a correction move. And so with this resistance here, we're going to see price moving back down. Probably going to go and test that 74.03 level. and then hover here and then want to go back up north. I welcome a little further downside move on this, but I'll take 74.10 right here, and I'll get the heck out of Dodge in this trade because I am currently in on Cad Swiss bearish for that sell-off. So this is where we're sitting on Cad Swiss, and I think it's in a good spot here to start see some downside action as well.
We bring up the Cad Yen, Gary. I mean, honestly, look, we're clearly spending a lot of time on Forex in the the Cad crosses, but the basket looks so good for a correction. And honestly, when you think about the Cad basket, and I thought we started talking about this last week. We talked about the Cad basket last week as a potential setup. I mean, when the whole basket looks good, it tends to play out. It tends to actually, abide by the technicals and be obedient. And, we'll probably see, let's just say on average, you've got 100 pips per currency pair, and you have the Cad basket offer up, 700 pips in the next couple of weeks. Like, it's not, and honestly, of some of the corrections, like some of these can correct well over 100 pips. So I just think it's something that when you have really nice alignments like this, it's something that we have to pay attention to. And I'm looking at Cad Yen, same thing. Like, I don't want to fight yen crosses, but when we're at this level of resistance, if we have some decent indecision, I'm probably looking for some. I don't think I'm going to like fade it, Gary, necessarily. I kind of hate doing that in the yen crosses, but I would consider looking at some sell stops below some support. If we like a reasonable support level, like just go after, maybe a 50 to 100 pip scalp. And maybe look at a position like this, but they just look really good. Cad Swiss you just did, Cad Yen you're showing now. It's like it just looks really solid. So I think the whole basket lines up really cleanly.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It certainly does. And this is the beauty of trading the markets right now, is that we don't have to trade in long-term positions. Specifically, like the Cad JPY. If you look at it, we're in a third wave move, and so the fourth wave tends to be a very shallow pullback. So traders need to be a little bit cautious with that and not look for these huge profit potentials, but really go down to the lower time frame. Something like you mentioned, looking for those support levels, strong support levels on the daily that market can break below, and then trade short-term swings going south. And don't be committed, don't be married to that trade, because it is going to be a short correction. Right. So Cad's JPY will be a short correction, and then it'll take off again, and you don't want to be caught on that trade, especially on the wrong side. Because when it goes up, it's going to go up much higher, and you may not have the equity to ride that wave out. And so buying on the shorts, in the sense in the short term, is going to be a good option on the Cad JPY. In fact, let's go to a chart right here. Oh, you know what? I want to bring up, and I'm going to bring up this chart right here. Take a look here. This is the daily and the monthly pivots right here. Take a look at this. We got a unhit target this week on the Cad JPY. And then we've got a monthly and we've got a weekly right here, missed target. This is actually an active target, so this is an unhit target. But you've got missed targets on the weekly. We've got some unhit targets on the monthly and the weekly here. So there's a lot of pull to bring this market back down again. I think we got another one right here. No, that's the one. So there's definitely a lot of downside pull. And look at the divergence here on the 1 hour too. I'm seeing the divergence on the 1 hour. I saw that on the 4 hour right here as well. Divergence there. So there's definitely downside potential on Cad JPY with a lot of confirmations of the market. And that's why I said, that's why I'm so excited about the way the markets are sitting right now, is because there's so many options. Like, where do I start? There's so many options. So for those viewers that are watching, and Chris can add to this as well, the best thing you could do when it comes to looking at the charts, and you see so many options over there. And I know that not everyone's got a trading account that can accommodate so many positions. So you want to focus on one or two. And sometimes it's better to be a master of one than a jack of all, right? And so focus on one or two of those setups and go ahead and just build your position up. Chris loves to do that. I love to do that too, where you build your position up. You start off with some, you build it up. By the time the market actually takes off, you've got a whole bunch of positions in that you're chasing after certain targets, and that's really what you need to do, so that you don't over leverage your trading account. That's important. What is Freddie got to say about the markets? I see him sitting on your lap there.
Benji.
Don't
offend him. No, actually, he is loving the Aussie New Zealand. because that's been his jam for the last couple of months. And what surprised me, Gary, is how do we not have a pullback on that currency pair? I'm long on Aussie New Zealand. I'm in profit. I'm riding this profit to 107 or hopefully higher. But I have been looking at buy limit levels, pending buys, any pullback. Give me something that I've just like waited, haven't gotten the pullbacks I've wanted. And now I've just watched it go from the lows recently of 102.90 all the way up to 106 and change. We're up 300 pips on the Aussie New Zealand. I'm still going after destination like 106.50 to 10700. And realistically, I don't know if you have anything different on that, but I think there is such strong support off that 10300 level that I wouldn't be surprised, Gary, if we come all the way back to like 108.50, 10900 again. We just have like all these fantastic levels of, I'm looking at a weekly chart right now in Aussie New Zealand, going back to 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, 2020, lots of support at 103. And we've had kind of those like, flashy crashes at the parity level since 2014, but 103 support is pretty solid. I think this currency pair finds just a fair market level between like 107 and 109. And now that it's bullish, I don't want to fight the momentum. And I think there's more to hang on to. So for me, I'm going to try to stay bullish, especially if we break that channel you show on your screen. If we break that blue channel, I think there's movement back up to that red trend line around 108.50 to 10900. So I'm going to try to hang on to it a little bit longer.
Yeah, if I go down to the 4-hour time frame over here and take a look at the 4-hour setup, then we can see that we actually do have a downward channel right here. So there is a lot of resistance here. You're dead right. I was actually long on the Aussie New Zealand dollar as well on this. And I took a little bit of profit a little bit earlier right here. I was buying down here, and I took this whole rally up here. Took out my trade right here. I'm actually on the sideline on Aussie New Zealand at the moment right now. But if I look over here, there is a lot of resistance coming off this level of that previous low. So there's resistance of the low, there's the resistance of this downward trend line. And also if I take a look at the inside swings right here, there was a first wave structure right here. This is the first wave. And then price pretty much took off from there. And it never came back. And so we have this big large swing that's creating this wave inside here, wave 1. This is wave 3 right here, and we've come almost, I think almost or at, no, right at, look at that, the 1.618 right here. So which tells me that we're not done with this rally. But the thing here is we are due for a correction. So I think with all the resistance that we have here on the Aussie New Zealand dollar, price is going to pull back, and we're going to get the market to come back to maybe retest these highs right here at the 382 bounce at about 1.0540. And then I think we're going to go ahead and start seeing some further upside rally on this. So I'm going to say that there's going to be a temporary downside move. Look at the divergence here on the 4-hour. Again, definitely overdue. Bearish sell-off is overdue on the Aussie New Zealand dollar, and we may see this. Now, that means that are we going to see some strength in the New Zealand? Are we going to see some strength in the Aussie? If you look at the calendar this week, then we'll see that we don't have any data coming out that's New Zealand or Aussie related this week. But do we have that next week? Let's see here.
I thought we had Aussie employment this week, Gary. I thought we had Aussie employment this week.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, that was about the only thing I could really see that would stand out for a short-term news event. We have Aussie employment on Wednesday night, so that's going to be Thursday's trading day. And that's it.
8:30.
We have G20 meetings this week. We've got FOMC this week. But yeah, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday night. So that's Thursday's trading day. But unemployment numbers look pretty bad, actually. I mean, they're forecasting a negative 108,000. But maybe it's maybe not as bad as good. Like if it's forecasted of negative 108 and it comes in, maybe negative 100, maybe they're like, well, that's not as bad as we thought. So who knows? I mean, the Aussie forecasting is just as loony as the CAD. So I don't really take that into consideration outside of it's the Asia session is lower volume. So you tend to see some pretty big volatility spikes around that period. But I'll be watching. I mean, if it pushes higher, great. Let's get some Aussie strength. I'll take it.
Let's take a last look at the U.S. oil chart right here. This is what the U.S. oil chart looks like here on the 4-hour. But I'm going to go to the daily. Actually, I'm going to go to the weekly right here. And this is that big wedge that we're in, the big falling wedge right here. And we did break out to the upside. And so we're started working our swings going up from the bottom right here. And we can see that we had our first wave structure right here, hit the 1.618. We had a pullback. And now we're at that 127. And so right there at this level right here, despite of what we're seeing at the moment right now, we're anticipating and absolutely anticipating price action to move south. So we're looking for price to drop back down to at least 74 and 74, and then dropping even further down south, because we're expecting price to come retest this trend line break that it did here, which is about 50 at 57. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can get there. But I think in the short term, at least in the short term, bearish movement on US oil could help with those Canadian crosses that we're looking at to trade. Excellent. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you, guys. We'll see everyone back next week. This is Epic Big Dog and Chris, my sidekick. No, I'm just kidding. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining.